Om Namo Narayana, welcome back. We're reading today chapters 61 and 62. Before I dive in, I want to make a little note. I often complain about this translation, and there are better translations. Better in terms of readability and understanding and just organization. I was looking at some of them the other day, matter of fact, some really nice prose translations. I will not be switching to those because we've already started on this, and I really don't know what those may leave out and what they may put in. And I'd rather just read one translation that isn't perfect versus bits and pieces of multiple ones. The other thing is, this translation that I'm doing, you can't see it here, but it's broken up into verses. So I have in front of me verse 61.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, all the way to point 23, and then chapter 62. And I like this because even though it's iffy, I feel like I'm getting close to the original Sanskrit text. So if this is iffy, maybe the original Sanskrit text is iffy in some ways, and iffy as in like repeating things and the flow is off. When you put this into prose form, you will undoubtedly have to tweak some things. So even though this is not the best translation for maybe listening to or whatever, I think it is probably somewhat accurate, or closer to being accurate than I feel some of the prose versions are. So just wanted to throw that out there because I was thinking a bit on this translation the other day, and I just realized that it has far more benefit for what I want, because I want the original story, because I don't speak Sanskrit, versus some adaptation. That's just me. Anyways, let's just dive into verse 61, Viswamithra's penance and Sunasepha's story. O Rama, after that, the great sage Viswamithra, after bidding farewell to all those sages who were on their way, spoke to the dwellers of the forest like this. In the southern side a great obstruction has taken place, and so we will go to another place to do our penances. O great ones, on the western region there is a vast space known as Pushkara. The forest is suitable for doing our penance there. Let us all go there and carry out further penances without being disturbed. That exceedingly powerful great sage reached Pushkara, and living on fruits and roots which were grown there, started performing matchless intense penance. At that time, Ambarisha, the well-known king of Ayodhya, commenced to perform a yagna. The sacrificial animal of the performer at that time was stolen by Indra, and when it could not be seen, the priest addressed the king and told, O king, the animal has been stolen away due to wrong policies followed by you, and a king who fails to protect the sacrificial animal perishes. For this we have to do an act of redemption. If the animal is not available speedily, bring a man who can be sacrificed instead of a beast. That great intellectual king, having heard the words of the priest, started searching for a man with a compensation of 1,000 cows. That king, after searching over many countries, cities, villages, forests, and sacred hermitages, reached the Bhruguthunga mountains, where he saw the sage Rikshika seated along with his wives and sons. That greatly resplendent king bowed before the Brahmin sage, who was shining because of his great penance, inquired about his and his family's welfare, and then told him, O sage Rikshaka, who is the lucky descendant of the Bhrugu clan, if you sell one of your sons for being used as a sacrificial animal for the cost of 100,000 cows, my purpose would be fulfilled. I have roamed and searched in all countries for the sake of completing the yagna, but could not get a lad for being used as a sacrificial animal, and so it would be proper for you to give one of your sons for this price. When the extremely brilliant sage Rikshaka heard these words, he said, O great man, under no circumstances would I sell my eldest son. Having heard the words of Rikshaka to the great king, the mother, who was also an expert in penance, addressed Ambarisha, the foremost among men, and said, The venerable descendant of the Bhrugu clan sage Rikshaka says that he cannot give the eldest son. I cannot give the youngest son Sunaka to you, as he is my pet son. Normally, the eldest son is dear to their father, and the youngest is pet to the mother, and hence I will protect the youngest. Hearing the proper replies from the sage and his wife, their middle son, Sunasepha, himself spoke on his own. "O king, my father says that the eldest son cannot be sold, and my mother says that the youngest son cannot be sold. So I consider that I am to be sold, and you can take me away." The king received Sunasepha after giving 100,000 cows, and was extremely pleased. The greatly illustrious and famous royal sage Ambarisha mounted his chariot with Sunasepha and instantly went away. Chapter 62, Sunasepha and Viswamithra. O Rama, that famous king carrying Sunasepha reached Pushkara by noon and took rest there. After reaching the sacred Pushkara, that king was taking rest. The famous Sunasepha was greatly aggrieved. He saw his maternal uncle Viswamithra performing sacrifices in the company of other sages there. With wan face, greatly worn out by thirst and fatigue, he fell on the sage's lap and said these words: "O gentle one, O great sage, to me neither mother nor father exist, nor have I clan relations or other relations. It is only proper by the tenets of Dharma that you, a gentleman, should protect me. O great sage, you give protection to all as you are a promoter of welfare of others. May the king fulfill his purpose and let me become imperishable by performing matchless penances and go on to heaven. O soul of Dharma, as I am an orphan, as you are my lord, please protect me like a father who protects his son." That mighty Viswamithra, hearing all those different words, consoled him, and addressed his sons and said, "Parents who want to get auspiciousness for their well-being, in other words, beget sons at the proper time. The young boy has requested protection from me, and my sons offer him protection so that he retains his soul. All of you have done good deeds and are engaged in observation of Dharma. One of you become the sacrificial animal for the king and gives satisfaction to the fire god. Then Sunasepha will have a protector, the yajna would continue without hindrance, devas would be gratified, and my words would also become the truth." Hearing the words of the sage, Ramachander and his other sons, with great self-esteem and playfulness, said, "O Lord, abandoning one's sons and rescuing the sons of other people is like eating the flesh of a dog, which is a prohibited act." Hearing these words from them, the great sage flew into great anger with reddened eyes and commenced to speak. "You have not only gone against my words, but also Dharma. These words are bad, makes my hair stand erect, and it needs to be censured. You would all live in this earth for another 1,000 years, eating the flesh of a dog like the sons of Vashista." The great sage, having doomed the life of his sons by a curse, spoke to Sunasepha, who was filled with sorrow, so that his pain would be relieved. "Once you reach the Vaishnava sacrificial spot, they will anoint you with red sandal paste, dress you in red cloth, and tie you to the sacrificial post with sacrificial ropes. When you reach there, pray to the fire god using this prayer. In the sacrifice of Ambarisha, chant these 2 mantras, and you will definitely achieve success." Sunasepha, with a concentrated mind, learned those verses well, and approached Ambarisha, a lion among kings, and told him, "O king, you are endowed with great strength. We shall go to the sacrificial assembly without any delay, and, O Indra among kings, let you perform the sacrificial rituals on me." With great joy and enthusiasm the king heard these words. They started speedily to reach the place of the fire sacrifice. The king, with the consent of the assembly, formed sacred knots of kusha grass, dressed him in red, and having thus made him a sacrificial animal, tied him to the sacrificial post. That son of the sage, having been tied like this, properly praised the 2 devatas, Indra and Upendra. Then Indra, who was gratified by the praise of those secret verses, blessed Sunasepha to have a long life. Rama, that king, was able to complete the yajna properly by the grace of the 1,000-eyed one, and obtain rewards much higher than he had expected. That soul of Dharma, sage Viswamithra, continued his penance at that sacred spot for another 1,000 years. Thus ends Chapter 2. And I feel I have to make some comment on the human sacrifice we have just read about, but I honestly am lacking words. I knew that they did sacrifices at this point of humans. I have actually read that in, I forget which Veda I was looking into, whichever one talks about the horse sacrifice. I forget which it is right now, but it talks about human sacrifices. So I knew it was there. Obviously, in context, what we have are sons of sages who feel they are doing their duty. And the fact that at the end of this it said that the Lord granted a long life means that the kid wasn't actually killed. But at the same time, from this perspective, in this century, this is just not something most of us are a part of anymore. Maybe there are human sacrifices still going on in the world. I am not too sure. It wouldn't faze me to find out that there were, and it wouldn't faze me to find out that people are going into them willingly. But for most of us, I think this is very uncomfortable. I'm without words. This takes some processing. In and outside of the context of it, it's still hard to wrap your head around. So, I welcome you to respond in any way you would like. Yeah, it's an odd... No, I got nothing. I'm sorry, I got nothing. So we're going to end here and just make our way forward in this text. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.